Jacob, go home! Go home, 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 Jacob, go home! Go home,
Go home, Jacob, go home. That was the chant you just heard out of Minneapolis, Minnesota earlier this evening, where the mayor of that town, Jacob Frey, was basically chased out of a rally because he refused to make a substantive, concrete yes or no commitment to defunding police in that community. I'm going to play you the whole clip. It's just around 2 minutes long, and in it you're going to see Frey make a bunch of platitude boilerplate statements. But what makes these protests different, and what makes this moment different, is that the leaders of that protest were not having it.
You have to take responsibility here. I've been coming to grips with my own brokenness in this situation, my own failures, my own shortcomings, and I know there needs to be deep-seated structural reform in terms of how the department operates. The systemically racist system needs to be revamped. The police union needs to be put in its place. We need to make sure that everything from the union contract to the way that the arbitration functions to the way that our officers and the culture in the department behaves, it all needs to change.
Jacob Frey, we have a yes or no question for you. Hey! Jacob Frey, we have a yes or no question for you. Yes or no, will you commit to defunding Minneapolis Police Department? What did I say? We don't want no more police. Is that clear? We don't want people with guns toting around in our community, shooting us down. You have an answer? It is a yes or a no. It is a yes or a no. Will you defund the Minneapolis Police Department? All right, be quiet, y'all. Be quiet, because it's important that we actually hear this. It's important that we hear this, because if y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. If y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. And if he says no, guess what the fuck we gonna do next year? What'd you say?
I do not support the full abolition of the police.
All right, get the fuck out of here. Go, get out of here. Go home, Jacob, go home. 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 Go home, Jacob.
So again, you can clearly see there, the protesters at that rally have Jacob Frey to speak. They're willing to hear him out. They're willing to let him have his moment to talk about the issues that matter to the protesters, fighting the system that led to George Floyd losing his life at the hands of police. That's what this is all about, and connected to the other cases, dozens, hundreds, around the United States and in many cases in other parts of the world. And Frey says, we're going to take on the police unions. We're going to really restructure the entire policing system of this city. But that's not good enough. The crowd is not convinced. And the leader of that protest, the leader of this rally, takes charge, and she does a fantastic job where she says, look, we want a yes or no answer to our question. The issue isn't any particular structures. The issue is we don't want people coming into our communities taking our lives. We don't want that. So, Mr. Mayor, Jacob, will you defund the police? Will you make a substantive move to defund or abolish policing, at least somewhat, in your power as mayor of this city. And he says no, and they tell him to get the F out of there. I think this demonstrates that this movement is something different. People are not settling for platitudes in Minneapolis and in many cities across the United States. Years ago, even a couple years ago, I guarantee you that sort of statement would have been seen as brave. Jacob Frey would have gotten international media attention for being so brave and bold and innovative and caring about his constituents to go there and meet with them and talk about taking on the police and blah, blah, blah. They are not buying it this time, and that is absolutely refreshing, because here's the deal. Defunding the police is now a baseline demand for the left. Even weeks or months ago, it was something that wasn't even mainstream among leftists. Now it is, and increasingly you're going to see this idea be profligated to the wider political spectrum. Sure, not everyone's going to be immediately in favor of abolishing or even defunding the police, but you're going to see that call become more and more normalized. And politicians that pretend to care about black people, progressives, community justice, community safety, are going to be faced with the question, what if the police are what's causing the communities to be unsafe? And if that's the case, and I believe it is, at least in many cases, and certainly the protesters in Minneapolis believe so, then the question is going to be not how can we make policing safer, but how can we make communities less policed? How can we eliminate police? How can we de-emphasize police? How can we say, get rid of half the police officers, 3/4 of the police officers, 80% of the police officers in a community? How can we ensure that the police officers, insofar as they must exist, don't have the ability to take someone's life? They don't have the tools to do so. These are questions that are not going back in the box. And you're seeing it. Someone like Jacob Frey has tried to put himself on the forefront of the situation in Minneapolis with George Floyd. He talked about the need to charge the officers. He talked about the need to remove them from their position. He made a big showing at the George Floyd memorial service. He even showed up at this rally. But fundamentally, if politicians are going to play all the performative games, but not work to defund the police, then they will be booed and they will be asked to leave spaces designed to challenge that fundamentally institutionally rotten structure of policing. This is a different type of movement from what we've been seeing. I am 100% here for it. And politicians all over the USA, politicians all over Canada as well, frankly, should be booed and should not be welcomed at any rally or demonstration or protest unless they commit to defunding and or abolishing policing, at least as we know it. We should expect nothing less, and more people are demanding nothing less.